horns glinted golden in the midday sun. Beyond the parking lot, in the grassy expanse of Arborville's park, a petting zoo had been set up, with lambs, baby goats, and rabbits. Pony rides were available for the children, and a clown capered about on the lawn, pausing now and then to juggle a bright collection of balls. "Yes," Pamela repeated to Bettina this time. Roland had wandered off to join his wife, and they were sampling pizza at the When in Rome booth. It's a very good cause. "I'm sure he'd agree." Bettina nodded toward a sturdy young man in a turquoise Arborville Aardvarks t-shirt. He caught Bettina's eye and strolled over. "How are you doing?" he asked. "Brad Stryker," Bettina explained, "the new football coach. I interviewed him for the Advocate last fall." Pamela reached out her hand and supplied her name. The coach had the square jaw and strong brows of a comic book hero, and he grasped her hand without smiling. "I'm glad to see the knitters approve of high school sports," he said, letting go of her hand after a firm squeeze and reaching for an aardvark. "Not like that—" He paused, as if censoring the word he'd planned to use. That idiot history teacher." "Did you see last week's Advocate?" Bettina asked Pamela. The Arborville Advocate was the town's weekly newspaper, and as the paper's chief reporter, Bettina covered most of the town news. Pamela hesitated. "I know I brought it in." No one actually subscribed to the Advocate. It just arrived, generally midweek, at the end of one's driveway. "I'm not sure I read the whole thing." "Randall Jefferson can be a very nasty man," Bettina said, "but freedom of the press and all. He must be busy with the school year winding down, but he took the time to sit down and unburden himself on the subject of high school sports." "Not in favor?" Pamela asked. "Most definitely not in favor," Bettina laughed. "You got that right. The high school sports program should be abolished, especially football. He noted that these students are stupid enough already without rattling their brains on the football field, and if they spent more time studying history, they'd be better citizens. People who don't remember the past are condemned to repeat it, and so on." Brad Stryker didn't laugh. "Like I said, an idiot." He shoved his hands in his pockets and swung his head from side to side as if he was scouting the crowd for the object of his irritation. "They say he's got so much money he wouldn't even have to work if he didn't want to. Why doesn't he just stay home and mind his own business then?" "Can't the students do both?" Pamela inquired. "Sports and history?" Pamela herself had never enjoyed team sports, preferring to get her exercise by doing errands on foot, a luxury that the tiny town of Arborville allowed. Brad Stryker frowned, as if even a compromise was an insult. "Idiot," he muttered again, and wandered off toward a rowdy group of young men wearing t-shirts just like his. Bettina touched Pamela's arm. "I don't think he meant you were an idiot," she said soothingly. Pamela, meanwhile, was handing over 2 aardvarks to a tall, smiling man who immediately gave one to each of the excited little boys bouncing at his side. "Our first sale," she said, smoothing out 2 $20 bills and placing them in the metal cash box. Young couples in shorts and t-shirts strolled with their children, balloons on long strings bobbing along behind them. Teenagers stood in tight knots segregated by gender, the girls giggling and watching the boys, and the boys trying not to be obvious about watching the girls. Older couples ambled along, pausing to greet old friends. "Such a perfect day for this," Bettina said, beaming. "The booths looked so nice, and the volunteers worked overtime to finish the rock garden. That handsome Joe Taylor really got them organized." She turned toward the library to survey the little plot, bordered by carefully arranged rocks, then turned back toward the crowd. "Oh, look," she said suddenly. "Richard Larkin is here with his daughters." Bettina nodded.